Good evening and welcome to A Slice of Life. There are a number of organizations out in the world today, all doing environmental work, and all of them do an excellent job. We have tonight with us members from the Nature Conservancy, and we have with us Susan Walschlager, Director of Marketing and Communications, and Frogard Ryan, Connecticut State Director, who oversees everything in the state. Ladies, welcome to A Slice of Life.
Thank you so much, Jim. It's great to be here. Thanks for hosting us.
Oh, yeah. So, tell us a little bit about the Nature Conservancy.
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to. So we are a global conservation organization, and we work in over 80 different countries and also in all states in the United States. So, and I oversee, like you said, I oversee the state of Connecticut. And our mission is to preserve the lands and waters on which all life depends. And I think it's really important to have this all life piece in there because it includes us, because we are nature and we are inextricably linked to nature. So our own well-being is dependent on the planet.
Right.
So the mission is really close to all of our hearts. And the way we pursue our mission is really by focusing on two crises that we're all affected by. And one of them is the biodiversity crisis, and the other one is a warming climate. So we're all familiar with that. And our goal is really to achieve a livable climate and thriving community and a healthy nature. So that's sort of our work in a nutshell. And then depending on where you are, it takes a different shape. In Connecticut, for example, of course, we are one of the oldest chapters within the Nature Conservancy. So with that, our history of land protection is still very prominent. But we do way more than land protection. We also focus on water, be it fresh water or estuaries and oceans, and then climate, of course, and finally people. People are key. So we do some urban work as well. So.
I like how you said the natural world that we depend on.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people say, well, you know, I live in the city or the suburbs and the nature is somewhere else, and actually it's right in their backyard.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's all around us. I mean, even here I was waiting in the parking lot and there spring is upon us, and you see little tree buds coming along and birds singing. And
yes, it's finally happening.
It's finally happening, and I think the urban areas have certainly a lot of nature as well. It might be a roof garden, it might be a tree in the front yard.
Yes.
It's important, particularly in cities too. I know you had one of my team members here, Drew Goldsman, talking about urban heat. That is certainly a big issue, and trees can help with that. So that's just one example.
I had early on the founder of Pollinator Pathway, and she said, you know, if you live in an urban environment, you can put a potted native plant out on your patio, and that qualifies. So it's pretty easy to get involved a little bit anyways.
That's what I like to remind people when they say, you know, this is work that encompasses the entire planet, and I'm one person or I'm one household, and what can I do?
Right.
But if you think about if a lot of people do the idea you just mentioned, how much that can support pollinators and biodiversity loss, like we're talking about, we want to support all of these species because, like we already said, we're all connected. You can't separate nature from people. And so if you think about, you know, this collective impact, and just like the Nature Conservancy, we have chapters in every single state, and then we're in all these different countries, all adding up to a lot of effort to make a difference. So I hope people today watch this and they're thinking about what they can do at home, and just be reminded that that will also make a difference.
It really does. And even if it's one potted plant, it's enough. So it's not only enough, let's say take the purple coneflower. It's enough for pollinators, and then in the fall, the seed, the finches will come and eat the seeds. So it's very beneficial.
Well, the critters in my yard, they like to eat all of those plants. So I often can't even get to have the nice coneflowers actually come up because somebody's in there munching on them. But I do try.
Yeah. Let's take a step back and talk about your professional career and how you got to work for the Nature Conservancy. Frogard, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I think for me it comes back to my love of nature and my passion for nature, and that became my profession. I mean, I have to thank my parents and grandparents who encouraged me to be outside. So my grandfather had a farm in Germany, and I grew up in a little town there. And so I played with chickens and around livestock and horses, and I was always, somewhere to be found outside. It was innate and I was always very connected to nature. And then my other grandfather, whom I never met, he was a veterinarian, and he came to life for me through my grandmother's stories. So I followed his footsteps and became a veterinarian. I knew I was going to have a profession somehow around creatures, I suppose, in nature. And then I moved to the United States and lived in Colorado for about 20 years. I worked for the zoo there, and then went to the Nature Conservancy because I wanted to make a difference in preserving habitat. So there I worked on the eastern plains of Colorado, worked with farmers and ranchers on setting lands aside. And then 15 years ago, I came here to lead the chapter in Connecticut.
Excellent, very good. Susan, how about you?
Similar to Frogard in that I'm also someone who's really passionate about animals, and so that includes, pets, of course, but also wildlife. And so I also think back on my life and also wanting to spend time outdoors, and very similar with my grandpa, always gardening and showing me, things outside in the yard to pay attention to. And as a little kid, I'm like, oh, what is this? I'm gonna go play over here. But thinking back, I was absorbing all of that and eventually realizing the importance of these values that my family instilled in me. And then, as time went on, I'm getting older, I'm paying attention to our weather changing. Prior to this winter, I would say, where is all the snow we're supposed to get in the winter? It's, instead downpouring, and now we're having flooding in the winter. Or in the summer, I'm like, why am I not seeing as many butterflies? Where are the bees to now pollinate the garden that I'm growing and following in my grandpa's footsteps? And starting to notice all of these things, and what are we doing? What can I as a person do? I don't want to just sit back and hope somebody else works on that. And so now I'm here trying to be a part of this so I can again see the butterflies and the bees. We had snow this winter. That was great. I loved it. I know it was tough for a lot of people, but I didn't want to just sit on the sidelines. And so now I'm happy to be a part of all this with Frogard.
Excellent, very good. Now, TNC, global operations. Let's explore that for a little bit.
Yeah, I think it comes back to that everything really is connected, and so nature knows no boundaries. So we work in many different places. I might give the Appalachians as one example, but we can go to Africa or Mexico or many different places where I also have been and have seen our work. But let's start with the Appalachians because they cross Connecticut. So in our northwest corner is a part of the Appalachians Trail, and the Appalachians, as you probably are well aware, and the Appalachians form an important migration corridor because as
Atlantic Flyway.
Well, I think what is as the climate warms, species have to migrate and species have to adapt, and they do so by moving up and northwards, right? And so if the migration corridors get interrupted, then it's much more difficult. And so we are working on being sure there is migration corridors available for species. So the northwest corner of Connecticut is really important, and the Appalachians in their entirety, all the way from Alabama to the Canadian provinces, are an amazing landscape that we're working on protecting. And you could take that theme of connectivity really many different places. I've seen it in Africa with elephant migration corridors, or in Mexico where I just was on the Yucatan Peninsula where jaguars need migration corridors, or you go to New Jersey and there we talk about bobcats, or you can talk about salamanders. I mean, it spans the gamut. And we can even take that Connecticut theme to our rivers and waterways where fish need to migrate and have corridors and no boundaries. I mean, you talked about that a bit with my teammate Emily. So I think migration and corridors and connectivity is really a theme that goes, it crosses the planet. And I don't know if you want to talk about our favorite animal, the snow leopard
yes.
in Mongolia, right? I mean, we have had a lot of work there, and we're all in love with the snow leopard, and with Mongolia as
Oh, yes.
a place.
So what's interesting about the Nature Conservancy, as we're talking about, is we work across these boundaries. So we're working with chapters in other states, but we're also working with our colleagues in other countries as far away as Mongolia. So one of our Connecticut team members was really interested in snow leopards and seeing more about research that the Mongolia chapter had done.
Sure.
But she was also interested in expanding her expertise on GIS, so Geographic Information Systems, and how mapping and technology can show the migratory corridors that snow leopards need in Mongolia. But how does that overlap with local herding communities and the livestock that they are raising? And so because if you have that overlap, the snow leopards might seize upon an opportunity to feed on these livestock groups. And so her name is Erica from our Connecticut chapter. She did research with all of this technology that's available now and expanded upon research that was already being done in Mongolia. And then she went this past summer to Mongolia for a whole month, met with the local community members, met with other local groups who are doing conservation, trying to put all of these pieces together to take all of this work to the next level and making sure that the local communities had the information they need so they can protect their livestock and then also help protect the land that the snow leopards need. And just seeing how much land they do need. And I think we have a video we might share in a little while because the Nature Conservancy set up wildlife cameras in areas where we assumed snow leopards would be. And sure enough, they would come on camera. We would see, okay, this is a pathway that they are using. More evidence, we need to protect this area of land for them and share this with the herding communities.
When we get into the slide section, the last slide we're going to look at, or the last video, is the snow leopard. And what a beautiful, furry, well-fed looking animal he was.
Right? Yes.
Just amazing.
Yes.
Now I wonder if the criteria or the goals for, like, say, Connecticut, are there any similarities to the goals in Mongolia or Africa, India, or wherever you might be?
Yeah, I mean, we have one set of goals for the entire organization that we're trying to achieve by 2030. So it all adds up. Every place, wherever you are, it contributes to the goals we have. And of course, I mean, there is some differences depending on where you can make a difference, where you are, how that pans out.
Yeah, so it's about protecting miles of rivers and fresh water, or in the ocean, or how many people are we able to support through this work? So the herding communities we just talked about in Mongolia, or communities right here in Connecticut, we have a process where our director of science from the Connecticut chapter in the Nature Conservancy works with local towns, cities, even colleges and universities to look at ways that they might have risks from flooding, big storms, could there be wildfire risk, and what can they do to mitigate and work on that? Is it something with infrastructure, bridges and culverts in their towns that they can upgrade so that we can prevent flooding when we have really big storms? And so those are all people who are learning more about that, sharing their ideas and benefiting from that. So even we have a people aspect to our goals because, again, people are all connected with nature, and if we can all be safer together, that's what we want. Some of the other goals, emissions. So there's a whole set, and again, every little bit that each area of the world works on works toward all of achieving these goals so that we can all have a better planet.
When were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, let me give you a specific example. So we are aiming to preserve 10% of the world's oceans. So that might take the shape of advocacy. How do we make that happen? And so, for example, one thing we do is advocate with the legislative officials to be sure laws and regulations are in place to make that happen. And of course, it could also take the form of working on ocean protection all throughout the globe. So you could do that no matter where you are. You could do that from Connecticut as well, although that is not maybe directly happening in Connecticut.
How does one protect the ocean? I mean, it's such a vast
Yep.
body of water.
Yeah, well, there's multiple ways of doing that. And one example I give you is the high CDs tree that just came into place. So, and many countries have signed on or ratified, and that is a framework basically setting up protection for the ocean in international waters. So this is one example, but certainly there's others where you can have marine protected areas that are protected from certain influences, and it all starts.
No commercial fishing.
Well, or limited to certain times, or like protecting, for example, where where boats go during migration, or how fast they can go if like the Atlantic right whale is passing through. So it's really working with communities and finding win-win solution, because as an organization we do work with people, and certainly try to find solutions that work for communities, for people, and for nature, and I think that's really important.
The reason I mentioned to Susan that I should have the TNC on, the Nature Conservancy on back, is because when I was doing research on episode number 20, dam removal, where Emily Hazupoulos was in, and I just found out how extensive your organization is.
Yes.
And where you are and what you're doing, and you're like all over the place. It's really very impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, it's inspiring, and but the planet, we don't have a plan B, so the planet needs us, right? So yeah.
Well, we've all heard that before. Right?
I know, and I think Emily is an amazing team member. She's very passionate about dam removal and culverts.
She was very wonderful.
She is wonderful, absolutely. So we're really lucky to have her, and I think it speaks to the work on connectivity for rivers, like I was mentioning before. So dam removal, of course, helps fish swim freely, right?
Yep.
If you imagine a highway and there's like a wall across the highway, well, you can't go anywhere. And
You're
that's
not
the
going
same,
anywhere,
you
right.
can't go anywhere, right? And so that's what happens to rivers when there's a dam. The fish can't go anywhere, and they need to go on the other side of the dam for feeding habitats or for spawning, depending on what kind of fish species it is. And of course, sometimes there's fish ladders, and sometimes there's even fish lifts, getting the fish up during migration.
Oh, wow.
I know, but it's not easy, and it doesn't always work as well. And nothing works as well as a river without a dam.
Right.
In having a fish ladder, a fish lift is better than nothing, but it is not a free-flowing river. So we work on that.
Let's go to some of your slides, shall we?
Sure.
Let's do.
Let's take a look.
What's up first on the slides?
Rocky Neck State Park.
What is going on in this picture?
Yeah, so we're partnering with the state of Connecticut, since it's a state park, to look at ways that the marsh can be restored. So they are in the marsh there, and the marsh should not look like that. It should actually look like a grassy meadow. We shouldn't be seeing all that water. It's not draining out. So we're looking at why is that happening? What can be done to protect this marsh, but also can that strategy be used at other marshes? Anything we learned from this, can we help restore other marshes? Because the marshes are not in great shape right now in our state and in other areas as well. So as part of this project, in this boat, in this photo in the fall, they were retrieving samples of sediment from the marsh to test it. So the sediment will become data that we can look at to understand the structure of this marsh, what's the sediment, what's its makeup, and just to help look at all of the different options and techniques that we might be able to use to bring this marsh back to a healthy condition, because marshes can do so much, like protecting us during floods. They're filtering water. They're obviously providing amazing habitat for wildlife and plants, and so we want to make sure that those are as healthy as possible. And that Rocky Neck being one of the most visited state parks in Connecticut, that visitors also understand that and can appreciate this beautiful natural resource that we have. So that's a project that we have going on, more on our website if people want to learn about it.
Okay, very good. Next one. Which one is the next one?
The baby porcupine.
The baby porcupine. Well, who wouldn't love a baby
I gotta tell you,
porcupine?
I've never seen a porcupine
Yeah?
in the wild.
And it's so funny, 'cause you're like,
Well,
which end is which there? Where is its little face? It was
know.
just a baby. And One of our land stewards was out monitoring one of our preserves that we protect. We have around 50 preserves across the state we protect.
Oh, wow.
And he seems to spot all of the animals. He's an animal whisperer, we suppose. And he grabbed this photo of this baby porcupine, you know, of course, staying away from a distance, but just couldn't believe it. We were so happy to spot that. And this, you know, there's one of our reasons, one of our reminders why we're doing all of this.
Yeah. And fun fact, they have 30,000 quills and they are soft at birth. And then they harden within the first hour.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. And I have seen, I think I was thinking about that before I came, I think I've seen 7 porcupines in my life, and I'm outside a lot, none of them in Connecticut, 1 in New Hampshire and 6 in Colorado.
Wow.
And they're amazing. I mean, you see them, they kind of waddle in an interesting way, and most of them I've seen up on a tree.
We're going to go to something called the floral montage now. It's 2 minutes of flowers from my backyard last August. Emily? And we're back. So that was our floral montage. A lot of native plants, native flowers. We're going to go back to the slides now. Let's go with the walk in the woods photo. There we go.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Sunny Valley Preserve. So that is a preserve that we've protected for many decades now. And what's interesting about Sunny Valley Preserve is it also has farms on it. And so we lease them to local farmers, and they're doing farming that works with nature. And that was something that was important when we acquired the preserve, was to use techniques that work with the land. And so these are farmers that also go to local farmers markets. You can support them there. And yeah, it's been going on for a really long time, and it just makes that preserve really unique. But as you can see, there's also hiking trails on it, some beautiful views kind of anywhere that you go there. And it's located in New Milford and also over the border into Bridgewater.
Okay. And now I believe you have something called a track vehicle wheelchair. Can we look at that video?
Yeah, our all-terrain wheelchair. Sometimes they'll say it's an off-road wheelchair.
There we go.
Yeah.
Look at that thing.
It's amazing. It
Yeah.
can, take you over any kind of terrain. So of course the ground is sometimes bumpy out there and maybe uneven areas and sticks and dirt and rocks, but it can do, all of that.
It's electric, I assume? Mm-hmm. And how long, what's the range?
Several hours.
Really?
I believe, and so it charges up, so we make sure it's charged and ready to go.
Yeah.
And because people register ahead of time so that we know, okay, let's make sure that it's fully charged and has several hours that people can be out on the trails at Burnham Brook.
I think, I've said on this show before that I think everybody needs to get involved at some level. And this tracked vehicle, I think, would be awesome for, people with physical challenges. Maybe they don't walk so good, maybe the elderly. They can still get out in the world and observe the beauty of nature. I think that's outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, so we take reservations for it. In the springtime, we'll start up again, and we have a specific path at Burnham Brook at one of our preserves, which is in East Haddam, and so people can explore nature and be out in the woods that might otherwise not be able. So.
I just think that's awesome.
Yeah, and
just awesome.
Yeah, we've had people come out and they're saying, this is my first time I've gotten to go for a hike.
Yeah.
And it's really different. And there is also just a flat path around a meadow. And so that was available last summer. This just launched. We're almost 1 year since it just started. Brand new program at Burnham Brook. And then a trail was developed this winter to go up to an overlook. And again, this track chair, it can do it. So even though it's up an incline, we made sure that it will be able to, we tested it, of course. And so we're really excited for people to be able to do that this year. And of course, friends and family, anybody else who they want to come with them can absolutely do that. And it's free, there's no charge. And if a child wants to try, that's great too. Like kiddos can come along. So all ages.
I think for a child there might be a little training involved.
Well, there is a little bit of an intro session just to show people here are the controls on it. You can bring a bag. I think we saw on it. It can hold things that you bring with you.
Right.
And we make sure that you know what you're doing with the track chair before you get started, and then you're off and you're on your way.
Well, I just think that's awesome. Very, very good.
Yeah, we're very happy to be able
Now,
to do that.
next up is a map of the Appalachian mountain range. And there was no message next to it, so I'm curious about that. Can we pull that up?
Yeah.
The Appalachian, there we
Yeah.
go. Let's hold that up there.
Yeah, I think this comes back to the importance of the Appalachians as a whole, but also about migration corridors. And if we were to zoom in on the map, Connecticut has a little corner of the Appalachians mountain range, which is like super cool. And the Appalachians Trail, of course, goes through the northwest corner as well. And species migrate through this range, and we want to be sure that stays that way into the future. So we're working all along the mountain range to make that happen.
That's excellent.
Yeah, we're very excited about that.
In the back of my yard, I have this undeveloped acreage. It actually belongs to the Condo Association. They haven't done anything with it. But a couple of years ago, I was in the backyard and I saw a black and white warbler in the back there,
That's super
right
cool.
there in Old Saybrook. And I didn't have my camera with me.
Yeah.
And of course he must have been migrating because I never saw him again.
I love the black and white warblers.
Yeah, they are so
Very
cute.
nice. And we are right in the migration corridor here for little
Yeah.
birds. But even if you had your camera, they never sit still very long. Warblers
No.
are like very active,
No,
so
they
you
don't.
blink and they're gone. But they are particularly pretty.
I like to say there's not much posing out in the natural.
Nope. That's
Nobody
right.
poses
That's
out
right.
there.
Yeah.
Just the flowers, maybe.
the flowers. Yeah.
Your flower
Maybe the
photography.
insects pose a little
Yeah,
bit.
sometimes that's right.
Okay, so next up we have a frozen lake. There
Let's
we
see.
go. Look at
Oh
that.
yeah, Godfrey Pond at our Devil's Den Preserve, which is in Fairfield County, I think Weston, right? And so that's one of the Nature Conservancy's most popular and highly visited preserves across all of the Nature Conservancy, and it's right here at home in Connecticut. And people think, it's such a treasure because in that part of the state, in Fairfield County, it is very busy and developed, and a lot of people live there. And so to have this beautiful natural area for people and wildlife and plants to be in is just wonderful and such a nice option, and that's why it is so popular. People go there, they find peace and quiet and calm. And then in the warmer months, there's a nice pond to look at. This is beautiful as well, though, in the winter with the snow on it.
I had to go visit my sister-in-law when she was living in New York City many years ago, and I stood on her patio or porch or something, and there was no quiet. There was no quiet.
Yeah.
You could hear the horn beeping, people screaming. It's like 7 a.m. People are screaming at each other. And then you come back here and you go to these preserves, and it's a beautiful, quiet experience.
That's true.
It's the way things are supposed to be. Yeah. At least I think so, anyway.
Or when you hear the birds.
Let me not get on my soapbox too much.
The birds might not be quiet, but it's a good kind of noise, right? When you're out in the woods and you're hearing all the bird song.
All right, so that's the Frozen Lake Wintry Bridge. Let's go to Wintry Bridge.
Let's see. Yes, another one of our preserves in the winter. We wanted to get out there this year while we did have the snow because it was just so pretty.
Yeah.
And we do have these small footbridges for people when they visit our preserves so that they can get to different areas and take a really nice hike.
Yeah.
And I think the preserves that we have, they're like pretty any time of the year. I mean, in the winter, I really like, of course, snow is really pretty, but in the winter, I like too that the branches and the trees, you can see them so well, and you can sometimes see birds better when they sit in them because there's no leaves yet, particularly just before the leaves come out, and the warblers might already be there, so it's the best time to see them.
Yeah, I would imagine that your website has a list of all these preserves, these wonderful preserves.
Yeah, absolutely. We have over 50 preserves, and many of them.
That's just amazing.
Yeah, it is. It really is. So we're very lucky. And we have 4 what we call signature preserves. We just showed a couple of pictures of Devil's Den, which is in Weston, and then Sunny Valley that you spoke to.
So Devil's Den is not Devil's Hop Yard.
No, it's not Devil's Hop Yard. No, Devil's Den is in Weston. It's in Fairfield County, like you said, and then Sunny Valley in New Milford, and then Burnham Brook, where you saw the track chair, that's in East Haddam.
Right.
And then Pocatana Cove, which is in Ledyard. But that's just like the 4 signature preserves. We have many more smaller size and various sizes, I suppose. And overarchingly, we own in Connecticut 15,000 acres, and we have another 15,000 under easement. So we still.
Here's my gripe with network television. And I've said this before to many of my guests. And you guys are doing outstanding work. And I would imagine you've never been interviewed by Channel 3 or Channel 8 or anybody like that.
We did. I mean, when the track chair was starting to become available, we wanted to make sure we got the word out about that.
Right.
So we did.
All right,
yeah, we were able to talk about it.
Let me apologize to network television. That I certainly don't want any lawyers calling me or anything.
But there is a lot of good news to share, which is wonderful. Thank you
So
for
that
having
was
us.
Winter Bridge. Now there's this picture of a summer bridge. Let's go to Summer Bridge.
Yeah, this was
who is doing what there?
This was a new one that was built in the summer at one of our preserves by some people who came just to work with us for the summer to do things like this. You can imagine it is not easy. They're not driving in all of these tools and supplies. They are walking into the preserves with all of it on their back, and so that's why it does take a special group and a good amount of time carved out to do this, because it's not quick, it's not easy, and then you're also hoping for some good weather. So that's why these become summer projects with a special team, and they did amazing work, and they were just great to have.
Now let's go to another aspect of the Nature Conservancy. And that's the political aspect. I understand we have a group photo somewhere down in D.C.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
Let's see. Do we have the photo? It's a great photo.
Tree planting.
There's tree planting. Well,
that's not Washington.
That's important too. That's important too. So that comes back to urban work, right?
Yeah,
It goes back to urban work that I think Drew, who was here, spoke about as well. So trees are very important for all of us and in urban places, and we're working actually on a network for the entire state to encourage tree planting and work with communities and homeowners and schools to have more trees planted. So we have planted, I think, 40 in the recent future, just in Groton, and even one tree can have a lot of impact on mitigating stormwater runoff.
Last spring actually,
Yeah.
I completed the Yukon Extension Master Gardener Program.
Fantastic.
And one of the primary takeaways that I learned there is that a lot of the trees are host plants for butterflies and therefore caterpillars.
Yeah.
Like the white oak, for instance, is host to literally hundreds of different caterpillars. And of course, what do the caterpillars feed? They feed the baby chicks. And so trees are just as important as, what am I looking for? Coneflower. Coneflower, evening primrose, phlox. The trees are very, very important.
Trees have a lot of jobs
They-
that
they-
we forget about and take for granted.
They actually do.
They're
And,
multitasking.
Yeah, multitasker is what they're called. Yeah.
So, and even when they start dying,
Yeah.
woodpeckers move
Woodpeckers
in
love them, yeah.
and do what woodpeckers
Yeah.
do. So.
And they provide shade. I mean, there's numerous benefits
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I have on my property what I call a shady quadrant.
Oh.
And in the middle of summer, when it's like 95 out in my yard and I'm cutting the grass,
Yeah.
I will take a break and go into the shady
Yeah.
quadrant. And it is a
You
significant,
feel that difference.
significant change in temperature.
Yeah.
And I tried it and I was just pretty much surprised
Yeah.
just how cool it was under there.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That's
Emily,
great.
can we go to the next photo, please? Tree planting? Okay. All right, so
Well, we want to tell you about that.
tell us
yeah.
about
Yeah.
your work in DC.
Yeah, happy to do that. So Susan and I both went together with some other staff members and our trustees. And so basically it comes down to raising awareness and advocacy. So we met there with elected officials and we told them about nature and the importance of nature and what kind of regulations, laws, bills we are in favor of to ensure nature is staying resilient and healthy. And so it's not only the Connecticut chapter does that, we do that as the entire Nature Conservancy.
Right.
So we have 200 to 500 people on the Hill at the same day.
Wow.
And
All
that-
in one day.
all
Yeah.
in
Imagine
one
how many
day.
meetings?
I think we had 200 some meetings, so it really makes a statement and it makes a difference. And we get a lot of time with our legislative officials, and it's just a very meaningful and invigorating exchange, and I think it makes a true difference. And awareness raising is one of the most important things all of us can do and need to do.
Right.
And it's happening at home too right now. We're in legislative session for Connecticut, and so we are testifying typically every single year on dozens of bills related to energy, to nature, to land protection, to clean water.
Yep.
And so kind of everyone in the chapter takes part in a way if they can provide testimony, and that's related to their area of work. And then we have someone where he's kind of dedicated to that and tracking all of this and speaking up where we need to, or say, this is a bill where we really need to add our voice to that, or saying, hey, can we ask our supporters to also take part and contact their legislators that they're in support of this too. So on the local level and the federal level, we are making sure people know how important policy is in making an impact for the long term and also at scale. Right, because policy can reach beyond one community, one neighborhood, even beyond our state.
Okay. Do we have the leopard video? Emily?
Snow leopard.
Yes. Let's look at the snow leopard and tell us what you're doing with the snow leopard far, far away from Connecticut, that's for sure.
Yeah. So that's the work by our Connecticut teammate, Erica. And this was
Look at that.
wildlife camera that the Nature Conservancy set up in Mongolia. We had a few spots where we believed snow leopards would visit.
Yep.
And there's no bait involved. We're not putting out food. We're not putting out anything. This is just an area where we believed that they were traveling.
Right.
And yes, they did. And so we can see them on different parts of this footage where they're sniffing out that another snow leopard was there, or they're kicking with their paws and
Yeah.
kind of doing things that you might see your cats at home do. Which is what's really interesting, similar facial expressions or just how they're working their paws.
Right.
But what's really great about the videos is seeing them up close and their amazing long tails, these really big paws that enable them to, travel along really rugged terrain that we would look at and say, I can't cross that, no way.
We're not going there.
Yeah, and these snow leopards are like, no problem. And they're just zooming across, right?
Yep.
While they're going after their prey and finding a meal. And so Erica's work looks at all of that and just what do they need in their habitats to make sure that they are protected and they can be thriving. And also because it is just a really important species to Mongolian tradition and culture. And so we want to make sure that the local herding communities and their livestock are protected and doing what they need to do, but also that the snow leopards can feel the same protection and continue thriving too.
I saw a snow leopard video one time. He was chasing a deer or elk or whatever lives over there. And this animal was full bore running downhill over the rocks and the crags and stuff. And I was just impressed as
built for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why they're interesting to look at.
He didn't catch the animal, but damn, he was running fast downhill. Just amazing.
So it's sad, we'll never see them here, of course. How cool would that be? We have our little bobcats, and I still think that's really thrilling when you see them. So, but it's fascinating to look at some of our snow leopard video footage, and we have more of that on our website too, if people are really intrigued by them.
Oh yeah.
And they're very elusive. I mean, we had the country director from Mongolia visiting us here, and I asked him, have you seen a snow leopard, or do you know anybody who has? And he knew someone who had seen it, but it's just a very elusive, shy animal, and it's nice to...
I don't want to be seen by you.
True, exactly.
I'm hiding.
Yeah, exactly. But it's similar here too. Like we talked about the porcupine, they avoid being seen, but it's good to know they're there.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're doing a lot of nature work, a lot of legislative work.
Yeah.
You have your hands in many pots. God bless you. Thank you so much for doing that. Now, as I close each show, we're almost done. As I close each show, I say, what do you want from the public? What can the public do to help you and your organization?
Yeah, I think there's a lot everyone can do, and everyone matters. I think it really starts with awareness, listening to a show like this, picking up a book and trying to be curious and finding out about nature and how it all connects, and then going to community meetings where maybe a matter is being discussed where one can make a difference. Of course, I mean, go to our website, follow us on social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all that.
There's always social media.
There's all that, right? So we love that, and become more knowledgeable that way, or become engaged as a volunteer in one of our preserves or in other ways. So there's many different ways one can make a difference. And I think simply even going for a walk and going along the beach and picking up litter or picking up a balloon or anything else that's lying there that shouldn't really be there. Picking up after your dog, dog waste, being mindful of what goes into our waterways, recycling, living more sustainable. The list is endless, and everyone can make a difference.
Keeping your cat inside.
Exactly. I mean, the birds are going downhill in numbers, and the cats are a very big reason for that.
And I understand that an outside cat, if you bring it in, it's not going to be happy.
Yeah.
But the benefits the birds will sustain for an indoor cat are great.
And the cat will live longer indoors than outdoors.
Yeah, I remember this friend of mine up the street when I was growing up in North Haven, back when it was a bucolic wonderland, and they had an outside cat, and this cat, I felt sorry for him. His eyes were infected, and I said, "Aren't you going to bring him to the vet?" No, we don't bring him to the vet.
It can be really tough for them when they're living outside. And think of the winter that we had this year, right?
Yeah.
Very extreme winter. I mean, we think about all the wildlife out there, but yeah, it's tough if you have a cat.
It isn't.
Outside.
All right, so ladies, this is it. Thank you so much for coming on. I love your organization, and I thank you for coming on and telling your story.
Thank you so much for having us. It was
Trogard,
delightful.
Susan, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. And everyone can learn more at nature.org/CT. And hopefully, I want them to also feel like inspired and motivated, and that we can go in a positive direction if we all work on it together.
We have to work on it together.
Yeah,
Everybody needs to do something.
absolutely.
And that's what I've said before. I said, everybody can do something to help the planet.
Exactly, and we have to be hopeful about that because we have seen it. People can make a difference, and nature is resilient and will rebound, and that is hopeful in and of itself.
And just to go back to episode 20, who knew that simply removing a 200-year-old obsolete colonial era dam could be so beneficial?
Yeah,
And the benefits are immediate.
yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They really are.
All right, so that's it for this episode of A Slice of Life. Thank you again, and if you have some time, go to the Nature Conservancy website. You will be impressed with all that they're doing. And that's it. Thank you and good night.